You're watching This Week in Louisiana Politics with Fred Childers.
Well, good Sunday morning to you. I'm Shannon Heckt. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. After months of waiting, the 2020 census data has been released, and this kicks off legislative redistricting sessions across the country. This week, Louisiana Representative Ted James laid out some of his main focuses for the Democrats in the special session. He says there have been districts stacked to secure Democratic or Republican seats, but he wants to move away from that.
We should be more focused on increasing the representation here in Baton Rouge, not just in the legislature, but in Congress. Our district shouldn't be shared with New Orleans.
Some fear that the failed veto override session has shown that the governor is veto-proof, so if he vetoes a map, he will go unchallenged. But Representative John Stefanski, the House leader for redistricting, says that that won't be the case.
It really does depend on the issue. So, that's not a challenge to the governor in any way. It's just reality, in my opinion, of being in that body. So I would say that, first of all, I hope that's not even a conversation we have to have. And if it becomes one, I think it's going to be a different conversation.
Soon the state will hold public meetings to gather input on how the legislative districts should be drawn. And later on in the show, we will break down the census data to see how much Louisiana's population has shifted in the last 10 years. And on Capitol Hill, the Senate passed the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy has been a leader in the talks, and he says it'll be a major benefit to the state. The bill would send money to current fire and flood control efforts and support new ways to forecast disasters. It also will bring funds to build and repair crumbling bridges and roads.
This bill makes a significant investment in coastal erosion and protecting those people who live on the coastlines. This is good for the American worker. It is good for American families. It is good for the United States of America.
Other members of the Louisiana delegation are not so supportive of the bill. Congressman Steve Scalise says it is too much spending. The Congressional Budget Office says the bill will add $250 billion to the deficit over the next decade.
It's got a lot of Green New Deal, things that would be very damaging to our economy. It's got a lot more free health care, free this, free that. At the end of the day, the taxes and the spending are what are driving inflation right now.
The bill passed the Senate with support from all 49 Democrats and 19 Republicans. Senator John Kennedy voted against it, saying the bill would tax industries that support the state.
To sum up, the proponents of this bill say that it shows that Washington can work. No, it doesn't. It just shows you that Washington can spend money. Any fool can spend money. I voted against this bill because I think it shortchanges Louisiana and America.
Kennedy says that the bill is an inflation bomb and it will only make prices worse. The bill now moves on to the House for a final vote, and Representative Garrett Graves said in an interview this week he is working through reading through the entire bill before saying if he will vote for it. This week marks 5 years since the 2016 flood damaged thousands of homes and businesses across South Louisiana. I sat down with local and state leaders to discuss what they remember of that week and how they're trying to make things better.
Next thing I knew, the water came up so fast.
Congressman Garrett Graves remembers preparing for the rainstorm, and when the water hit, he helped rescue people in Zachary.
We were probably in that same neighborhood, I'm going to guess, for about 12 hours. There till well after midnight, doing rescues. We had a kayak, paddleboard, rescuing people nonstop.
From Lafayette to Livingston Parish, over 17 inches of rain clogged rivers and filled streets. It was a once-in-a-lifetime event, but it revealed drainage systems were not keeping up with the development.
The systems that were built decades ago certainly are antiquated against the backdrop of the intensity of water that we're having these days.
Mayor Broom, whose own home was flooded in 2016, made storm mitigation a priority when she took office the next year. Fast forward 5 years later, she and the parish are sending out letters to people impacted by the flood, telling them to renovate their properties to prevent future flooding.
We have been helping to facilitate those individuals in the recovery process of doing what they need to do to build a more resilient home.
Her stormwater master plan hopes to widen 66 miles of these local drainage routes. On Capitol Hill, Congressman Graves says that he helped change FEMA's rules. The agency spent over $1.4 billion to help after the flood.
Projects that have been stuck since before I was born are today under construction, moving forward. And I think that you're going to continue to see month by month gradual improvements in flood protection.
Both politicians say while they hope to never see a repeat of 2016, the focus now is building South Louisiana to be more resilient. Well, this week, the Sea Corps hearings by the Coast Guard wrapped up, and in the final days, the debate focused on who was responsible for the rescue call. There is some argument on when the call came out and why it took so long to get to the rig. Talos Energy did not have a contract with the helicopter company that executed the rescue. They heard about the incident through another company.
We do have a contract with them that if we need their services, we'll notify them and request them to mobilize to a location.
Do you know if anyone with Talos made a call to Bristol on April 13th to ask for help in response to the Sea Corps power absence?
Not to my knowledge.
Part of the reason behind the hearing is to figure out what went wrong to help prevent such a tragedy from happening again. The incident left 13 of the 19-person crew dead or presumed dead. And in New Orleans, a rise in violent crime is having an impact on tourism and local businesses. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is making a call for change. Anna McAllister has the details.
If it gets a bad reputation, you can't get it back.
David Rubenstein, owner of Rubenstein's Men's Clothing, says the recent chaos in the French Quarter is taking a toll on local businesses, including his own.
Well, people are planning trips. This is what they came to see, downtown, the French Quarter. And if they have crime in there, they're going to look at other trips.
In just the last 2 weeks, at least 10 people have been shot on Bourbon Street. Rubenstein's business has been in the Quarter for nearly 100 years, and he says he's never seen crime like this.
I think it's probably right now the worst it's ever been.
And some state leaders agree.
Failure is not an option. It is the worst it's ever been, and if we don't change it quickly, we won't recover from the shutdown from tourism, and we won't see the French Quarter make it.
So what's being done to clean up the Quarter? Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser says it's all about collaboration.
First thing we've got to do is work with the mayor, which we are doing, to get more police on the streets in a recruiting effort. Secondly, we're working to put crime cameras in every street light in the Quarter.
And business owners are also doing their part, working with the mayor's office and NOPD to address the Quarter's issues.
It's going to take a process and it's going to take a while. But now the business people are saying, we're leaders, we need to bring this to the mayor's attention. And they've been very cooperative to meet it.
The rest of the state understands, so goes New Orleans tourism. It does affect the rest of the state. So we need all hands on deck to support our efforts to make that happen.
Well, coming up, if you're planning to travel to New Orleans, make sure to bring your vaccination card. The mayor's latest effort to curb the spread of COVID. And the governor's mask mandate is raising tensions as students return to the classroom. More after the break.
This is your local election headquarters.
Welcome back. A big move from New Orleans city leaders. Get ready to show proof that you've been vaccinated or have a negative COVID test for any indoor activities in the Big Easy. New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell says beginning tomorrow, proof of vaccinations or a negative COVID test will be required for all indoor activities, including bars, restaurants, and music halls. This is her latest push to try to curb the fourth and worst surge of the pandemic. The mayor says there really is no other choice.
If you don't know us by now, I don't think you ever will, because we will continue to stand to protect the health of our community, the health of our people, the health of our economy, the best that we can.
So like I said, regulations go into effect on Monday, and Mayor Cantrell believes that this move is crucial to avoid stricter mandates. She says she does not want to go into another lockdown that will cause businesses to close down. In Baton Rouge, Mayor President Sharon Weston-Broom says that she will not enact a similar mandate in her city. She says her goal is to increase vaccinations to help cut back on the high level of hospitalizations. She says that she does support local businesses who may want to implement the proof of vaccination requirement if they feel it is necessary. Well, students at LSU will soon lose the choice of getting the vaccine or testing negative. President Dr. William Tate says that the vaccine will be required for students and staff once it receives full approval from the FDA. Approval could come as early as next month, and Tate stresses that getting people vaccinated is the only way for campus life to return to normal. In the meantime, students that aren't vaccinated will have to test monthly, and those tests will be provided on campus for free. The university plans to give regular updates on their progress fighting the pandemic online. Louisiana's mandatory mask mandate is being met with pushback after district leaders in Central turned students away for not wearing masks at school. Several students were told they could not attend class without face coverings, and parents posted online saying that their kids should still be able to learn. Central Superintendent Jason Fountain says that parents know the rules.
We don't want any combativeness. Look, we're a community school system. We love this community. This community loves the school system. We want every kid to be in school. But right now, we must follow the governor's mask mandate, which says that any individual who comes into a school building must wear the mask.
Parents argue that masks should be optional, and the district says they will not change their plans until new guidance is released from Bessie or the governor. Up next, I sit down with a data analyst who will help us break down the newly released 2020 census data. It will kick off a redistricting session that could change things up at the Capitol.
This is your local election headquarters.
Welcome back. This week, the 2020 census data was finally released after many delays due to COVID. We're joined by John Couvillon with AMC Analytics. Thank you for joining us, John.
Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, you're no stranger to the show, so you're kind of our analysis guy. So why don't you help us break down all this data? What are kind of the biggest changes that we saw here in Louisiana?
I think the most important takeaway here is Louisiana has not been a fast-growing state relative to the rest of the country since the 1970s because, of course, we had the crash in oil prices in the 1980s, and we've never really recovered fully since then. Having said that, statewide, we had 2.7% population growth, which is anemic by national standards, but by Louisiana standards, it's respectable because we've actually had a couple of decades, believe it or not, of flat population growth. Within that 2.7%, East Baton Rouge Parish grew faster, as it always has, at 4%. Ascension Parish was one of the fastest growing in the entire state, 18%, and 11% population growth in Livingston. Overall, what these population numbers are pointing to is a continuation of a trend where North Louisiana remains stagnant in its population. And in fact, only 4 out of the 29 parishes in North and Central Louisiana saw any net population growth over the last decade. So the growth is disproportionately occurring in South Louisiana, and more specifically along parishes with either Interstate 10 and or Interstate 12. Another interesting thing, and this has more of a local angle, but it does have a political impact. For the first time, East Baton Rouge Parish is plurality Black, meaning that you have more Blacks than you do have whites, but they do not represent 50% of the population. In fact, you have a critical 12% of East Baton Rouge Parish's population that is neither Black nor white. So in other words, we're becoming a much more diverse parish than we have been in the past. So taken together, those are all the numerical aspects to what the census numbers yesterday showed.
Right, and so, why are we seeing more people leaving the northern part of the state, and why do you think more and more are, going to those parishes that kind of surround Baton Rouge and surround New Orleans?
Yeah, I think you have a couple of things going on. The first is that Interstate 10 gets a lot more national traffic, and so that plus the petrochemical industry rather being down here is a catalyst for economic growth. And I've just found too in North Louisiana that for whatever reason, the people up there don't want to stay, perhaps a perceived lack of economic opportunity. And that is why those parishes up there have had flat population for years. Whereas East Baton Rouge Parish, not only do we have state government, the universities, and the petrochemical industry, but we also have a medical industry here. So multiple things to draw people here, and that's what the census numbers have shown.
So a big part of these numbers coming out means that we're going to start a redistricting session here next year. I know a lot of the lawmakers are already trying to figure out how to write these maps and everything. So legislatively, what do all these numbers really mean for us?
So in plain terms, what these numbers all mean is this: the flat population growth and actually in many cases population decreases in the parishes in central and north Louisiana means that they have less population to support the existing number of representatives they have, because of course the congressional and legislative district lines are drawn to reflect population and are supposed to be as equal as possible. So I've calculated that given the population for 2020 in the central and north Louisiana state parishes rather, you're talking about 1 to 2 state house seats not being there anymore, and about a half of a state Senate seat not being there based on the population in those parishes.
Right, so with these districts in the northern part, how is it kind of decided if we're not going to have those house seats? That means, 2 folks are kind of out of the job, right? So how do we decide who's going to go?
And that becomes the political part of redistricting, is all of the specifics that you just referenced. Is you have to start with several, I guess, laws of physics or I guess legal considerations, which is, of course, you want to make sure you're not decreasing minority representation. You want the districts to be substantially equal in population. Given those 2 considerations, then it becomes a case of where the districts are able to expand and or contract. And so there's no way of knowing at this point where that representatives will be, other than somewhere in that region, they don't have the population to support the number of legislators they have right now.
And Representative Ted James brought up this week that, he wants to have New Orleans and Baton Rouge separate in their districts, that they shouldn't be kind of lumped together, how some lines include together, like Representative Troy Carter's seat, has this little carving out of Baton Rouge. Do you see that kind of changing, having Baton Rouge having its own seat and New Orleans having its own seats?
Well, what you have already is you have the 6th district, which is a Baton Rouge-based seat. You have the 1st district, which is a New Orleans-based seat, and the 2nd congressional district is in between the 2. It then becomes a case of not only what the population is with regards to where those districts, congressional districts go, but making sure that Representative Troy Carter has a Black majority district, because of course you have federal laws about minority representation.
Right, and just kind of to wrap this up, for the average folks who, don't read these maps and things, with these changes in the House and everything, what is this going to mean for the average voter out there?
So what it means for the average voter is over the next couple of years, whether we're talking about the 2022 or the 2023 elections, all of these governmental entities will have to be redrawing the lines. So locally, for instance, that would mean the East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council or the Ascension Parish Council. And on a broader basis, we're talking about districts such as Congress, House, Senate, the Public Service Commission, and so forth. So point being is virtually every governmental entity will be affected by the line redrawing. So each of the people in the viewing area and throughout the state of Louisiana will be impacted some way in terms of who he or she will have as his or her representative.
All right, John, well, it's pretty complicated, but very interesting stuff, a lot of big changes, and that special redistricting session is planned for early next year, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Always my pleasure.
All right, well, we will be right back.
This is your local election headquarters.
Well, looking ahead to the coming week, the Baton Rouge Press Club will be hosting an East Baton Rouge Parish Stormwater Master Plan official. They'll be talking about what is being done to reduce flood risk in the capital region. On Monday, the Health and Welfare Committee will take up the debate if laws allow students to opt out of vaccine mandates for school attendance. And on Wednesday, Bessie will be taking on the request by Attorney General Jeff Landry to allow students to opt out of the mask mandate. They will decide if the governor has the ability to mandate masks in schools. Well, thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics. I'm Shannon Heckt, and I'll see you Sunday next week right here on your local election headquarters.